The night was quiet above the ruined city, but inside the Earth Defense Base, something dark was happening. The base floated in the sky like a giant metal giant, glowing with cold blue lights. Soldiers walked fast through the long steel corridors. No one spoke. Everyone's face looked tense, almost afraid. A special announcement echoed through the speakers. All senior officers report to command room. Urgent Level 7 security. Level 7 was rare. It meant something dangerous. Something no soldier wanted to face. Inside the command room, the screens showed a small figure sitting alone in a cold cell underground. The figure looked like a young girl, maybe 18 or 19, but her eyes were glowing like two small stars. Her name was Lyra. The commanders believed she was from an alien species that Earth had never seen before. Some said she could destroy a whole city with her mind. Others believed she carried secret information that could start a new war. Nobody knew the truth, and nobody wanted to find out. Commander Hale, an old man with gray hair and a hard voice, stood at the front. "We cannot keep her alive," he said. "She is a threat to Earth. She must be executed tonight." A silence filled the room. Many soldiers stepped back. They were brave men, but this one felt cursed. Everyone knew that strange things happened when someone went near the girl. Machines broke. Lights flickered. People heard sounds that were not there. No soldier wanted to volunteer. Commander Lay raised his voice. "Who will perform the execution?" No one answered. Then he looked at a young soldier standing near the back. A soldier with a clean record, brave, loyal, never questioned orders. His name was Evan Riker. "Riker," the commander said, "you are chosen." Evan felt a cold twist inside his stomach, but he did not show fear. He simply saluted and nodded. He did not understand why he was chosen, but orders were orders. He walked down to the lower levels, each step echoing in the empty halls. The deeper he went, the colder it became. The air felt heavy, almost like the base itself was warning him to turn back. When he reached level Zeroda underground, isolation chamber, the lights flickered above him. A loud static sound came from the speakers. For a moment, everything went completely dark. Then the lights came back slowly. Like waking up from a nightmare, Evan stood in front of the cell door. Through the small glass window, he could see nothing. Only darkness. But he felt something watching him from the inside. Something alive. A guard handed him a special weapon, a silver injector, designed to kill alien biology in seconds. "Be careful," the guard whispered. "She is not like us." Evan took the weapon and stepped inside. The door closed behind him with a scary metallic thud. The room was cold. Too cold. Frost covered the metal walls. A dim blue light spread across the floor. Evan felt his heart beat loud in his chest. He moved slowly until he saw her. She was sitting on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, head down, long white hair covering her face. Her hands were chained with glowing energy cuffs. At first, she looked weak, almost harmless. But then, she slowly lifted her head. Evan froze. Her eyes were glowing soft, silver blue, light, beautiful, but unnatural. They were not the eyes of a monster. They were the eyes of someone scared. Someone who had suffered. Evan felt something strange, something pulling him closer. Then she spoke. But the strangest thing was not her voice. It was what she said in a soft whisper. She said, "Hello." Evan dropped the weapon from his hand. It hit the floor with a loud metallic sound. His skin turned cold. His mind raced. How did she know his name? He stepped back. What did you say?" She looked at him with calm, almost sad eyes. "I said your name." "No one told you my name," Evan said. "You are not allowed to know it." Lyra shook her head slowly. I knew it. Before I came here, Evan felt a chill crawl up his spine. What do you mean? She looked directly into his eyes. Those glowing silver eyes felt like they could see through him. Because I saw your future. Evan's breath stopped for a second. My future. Lyra nodded. Double quotes, yes. And in every future I saw. You do not kill me. The lights above flickered again. The temperature suddenly fell. The walls hummed with a strange energy. Evan grabbed the fallen weapon, his hands shaking. He pointed it at her, but something inside him refused to pull the trigger. Lyra slowly stood up. Her chains glowed brighter. Her hair moved like it was floating in water. She whispered one more sentence, one that made Evan's entire world freeze. If you kill me, Evan, your world dies next. The alarm suddenly screamed through the base. Warning. Unscanned energy surge. Unknown force approaching Earth. Evan stared at Lyra, shocked, confused, and afraid for the first time. She gave him one final look, calm, knowing, almost sad. They're coming, she said, and they are not coming for me. They are coming for you. The alarm kept screaming through the underground level, its red lights flashing across the metal walls like falling blood drops. Evan stood frozen for a moment, still holding the silver injector in his shaking hand. Lyra watched him silently, her glowing eyes soft but filled with something older than fear. Outside the cell, soldiers were shouting, "Contain the energy surge. Seal level 0. Prepare for evacuation." But Evan heard none of it clearly. His mind was locked on one thing. She knew his name. She knew his future. She said the world would die if she did. Lyra breathed slowly, as if waiting for him to accept the truth she already knew. Evan finally found his voice. You're lying. You're trying to mess with my head. Lyra stepped 1 inch forward, chains glowing around her wrists. If I wanted to trick you, Evan, you would not be standing right now. Something in her tone felt honest. Too honest. But Evan forced himself to focus. All right. Start talking. How do you know me? Why would the world die if you're gone? Lyra looked down, like she was trying to choose the right words for a human who had no idea how big the universe truly was. Because your world is part of a war you do not understand. She said softly. And you are already tied to it. Before he could reply, the lights exploded above them, literal sparks raining down. The temperature dropped again, colder than ice. Evan felt his breath turn into fog. The base shook like something massive had hit it from outside. Lyra closed her eyes, listening. They found me sooner than I expected. Who found you? She opened her eyes again, and for the first time, Evan saw real fear inside them. The hunters? Evan felt a cold stab in his chest. Hunters. That means your people. She shook her head fast. No, Evan. They are not my people. They are older, stronger. They destroy every world they see as a threat. They came for my planet, and now they come for yours. Evan swallowed hard. He didn't believe in destiny or visions or aliens predicting the future. He believed in orders and logic and reality, but nothing about today felt real. He stepped closer, keeping the weapon raised. You're telling me that killing you will? What? Bring them here faster. Lyra looked directly at him. No, they are already coming. Killing me will remove your only chance to stop them. Evan's heart pounded in his ears. Why me? He whispered. I'm nobody. Lyra smiled, slightly a sad, knowing smile. You are the one who survives. Before he could question that, the cell door burst open. 3 armed soldiers rushed inside. Riker, step away from the alien. She's manipulating your mind. Drop the injector." Evan hesitated for 1 second. Lyra whispered, "Not to them. But to him, if you let them take me, this base will fall. You will all die here." One soldier grabbed Evan's arm. "We'll handle her, Riker." "You're relieved." Evan looked at Lyra. Lyra looked only at him. Her eyes were not angry, not begging. They were resigned, as if she already knew what he would choose. Suddenly, the floor shook so violently that the soldiers lost balance. A low, deep roar echoed through the underground levels, like something monstrous outside the base. Then, ... All the lights went out. Pitch-black darkness. Someone screamed. Something metallic crashed. The energy cuffs around Lyra's wrists started glowing brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. A soldier shouted, "What's happening?" Lyra whispered into the dark, "They are breaking the shields. We have minutes, maybe less." Evan couldn't explain what pushed him, but something inside him made him move. Maybe fear. Maybe instinct. Or maybe because, when he looked at her, she didn't look like a weapon. She looked like the only one who understood what was coming. Evan grabbed her chain lock and tried to break it, but the material was too strong. Lyra touched his hand gently. A sudden shockwave shot through the air, silent but powerful. The cuffs shattered into glowing dust. Evan stepped back, stunned. You could escape all this time." Lyra shook her head. "Only if you touched them. Only you could break the seal." Evan felt his heart stop. "What does that mean?" "It means," Lyra whispered, stepping toward him, "you were chosen long before tonight." The power came back, suddenly red emergency lights flashing. In the blinking red glow, he could see Lyra clearly now. Not a monster. Not a killer. A girl running from something bigger. Outside, another explosion shook the base. A distant alarm announced, "Unidentified ships entering Earth's orbit." Lyra looked toward the ceiling. "Evan, we have to leave this place. Right now." Evan looked at the broken cuffs, the terrified soldiers, the shaking walls, and then at her dot. Everything inside him said she was dangerous, but everything outside said she was right, and for the first time in his life, Evan ignored his orders. He whispered, "Okay, I'm with you." Evan pulled Lyra into the corridor as another blast shook the entire underground level. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the floor trembled like a giant creature was waking beneath the base. Emergency sirens screamed in every direction. Red lights flashed. Metal doors slammed shut. Soldiers ran without knowing what they were running from. Evan kept one hand on his weapon and the other guiding Lyra through the twisting hallways. Her steps were soft, controlled, almost too calm for someone hunted by an army and aliens at the same time. They reached a side maintenance door. Evan punched the override panel. Access denied. He hit it again, harder. Still denied. Lyra raised her hand. The panel flickered, glowed silver, and unlocked with a quiet beep. Evan stared at her, shocked. "You can control technology." Lyra shook her head. "I can only speak to systems that still remember the old codes." Evan didn't understand, but there was no time to ask. He pushed the door open, and they stepped into a dim, narrow tunnel filled with pipes and humming machines. The noise of chaos above faded. The tunnel was quiet, almost peaceful. Evan finally spoke, breathless. "Tell me the truth, Lyra. All of it. Why are they after you? And why does Earth care so much?" Lyra looked down the long tunnel, as if afraid the truth itself would chase them. "Because Earth made a mistake," she whispered, "and they don't want anyone to know." Evan blinked. "What mistake?" Lyra leaned against the wall, her silver eyes glowing softly in the dark. "My people came to your planet 5 years ago. Not for war, but for peace." Evan frowned. He had never heard anything about that. We opened communication with your leaders, Lyra continued. We offered knowledge, technology, and protection from the hunters. Evan felt his heartbeat slow. Earth knew about the hunters. Lyra nodded. Yes, we warned them. We begged them to prepare. But your leaders? They wanted something else. Evan felt a cold fear spread in his chest. What? Lyra's voice turned sad. Power. They wanted to use our gifts to control other nations. They wanted weapons, not peace. Evan clenched his fists. That doesn't make sense. Earth's Defense Council lied, Lyra said quietly. To you, to everyone. The tunnel lights flickered again, reacting to her emotions. She closed her eyes, controlling herself. We gave them a device, she continued. A small one. A seed of knowledge, something that could help build defenses against the hunters. Evan listened carefully. And what did they do? Lyra looked directly into his eyes. They tried to turn it into a weapon. The words felt like a dagger. The device reacted, Lyra whispered. It was not meant to harm life, so it shut down. And when it did, my people came to take it back. Evan felt the world shaking around him, not from explosions, but from the truth itself. What happened to your people? He asked softly. Lyra's voice broke for the first time. They didn't survive. Earth's leaders attacked them the moment they arrived. They blamed them for the device failure. They blamed them for everything. Evan felt sick. And you? I escaped, Lyra said. I was supposed to carry the knowledge back to my homeworld. But the hunters reached us first. They destroyed our ships. They chased me across the galaxy. And then I fell to Earth. Evan understood now. Earth didn't want her dead because she was dangerous. They wanted her dead because she knew the truth. Lyra stepped closer. You must understand, Evan. The hunters are not coming because of me. They are coming because Earth has something they want. The device? Evan asked. Lyra nodded. Yes, it is the key to stopping them. But only one person can activate it now. Evan frowned. Who? Lyra looked at him in a way that made his skin crawl, not in fear, but in destiny. You? Evan almost laughed in disbelief. Me? I'm a soldier. I follow orders. I'm not special. Lyra took his hand gently. When you touched my cuffs, they unlocked. When you entered the cell, the visions came. When the base shook, you stayed calm. You are not chosen by accident. Before Evan could respond, the entire tunnel shook violently. A deep, thunder-like roar echoed from above, so heavy the walls cracked. Lyra's eyes widened. They are here. Evan stepped closer to her, instinctively protective now. Where do we go? Lyra pointed deeper into the tunnel. To the old research chamber. The device is inside. If we reach it before the hunters do, we have hope. And if we don't? Evan asked. Lyra's voice turned cold. Then Earth falls tonight. Evan tightened his grip on his weapon. He had no orders now. No commander. No plan, only one path. Protect the girl. Reach the device. Stop whatever was coming. He looked at Lyra. We run. Now. They ran into the darkness toward secrets Earth buried, and a fate Evan never asked for. Evan and Lyra ran deeper into the maintenance tunnels, their footsteps echoing off the metal walls. The air grew colder the farther they went, as if something monstrous was drawing closer behind them. Every few seconds, the ground shook, sending dust falling from above far over their heads. The Earth's defense base took blow after blow from something massive in the sky. Evan finally spoke between breaths. What exactly is chasing us? What do the hunters want? Lyra didn't slow down. Her silver hair moved like light itself in the darkness. They want to remove future threats, she said. They destroy species that can evolve into strong enemies one day. Evan frowned. That doesn't make sense. Humans can barely survive ourselves. Why destroy us? Lyra shook her head. Because you grow fast. Your minds adapt fast. You make weapons faster than any species I've seen. The hunters call your kind. The unpredictable ones. They fear where humanity will be in 100 years. Evan swallowed hard. So they'll kill us before we get too strong. Lyra nodded once. Yes, they did the same to my planet. Before Evan could ask more, the tunnel lights suddenly died. Complete darkness swallowed them. Evan stopped, heart pounding. Lyra. I'm here, she whispered then, very slowly. The tunnel filled with a blue glow coming from Lyra's eyes. Evan exhaled in relief. Then froze when he heard a strange sound. A deep metallic growl, like something scraping against steel. Evan raised his weapon. What was that? Lyra shook her head slowly. They've entered the base. Distant explosion shook the floor again. Not like a bomb. More like a claw tearing through metal. Evan whispered, How many are there? Lyra closed her eyes, listening. Then she whispered, 1 ship. But that is enough. Evan felt a cold wave run through him. 1 ship. Just 1. Lyra nodded. The hunters do not need armies. They send 1 ship to test resistance. If the world fails, the rest come afterwards. He wanted to argue. Wanted to tell her she was wrong. But the fear in her eyes told him she wasn't. They reached a huge metal hatch with glowing symbols on it. Lyra placed her hand against it. The symbols lit up, humming like an ancient engine waking after centuries. The door slowly opened into a wide, circular room. Old screens. Broken pods, tables filled with alien-looking tools. This was the abandoned research chamber. Evan took a step forward. So this is where Earth worked on your people's technology. Lyra walked toward the center of the room where a large metallic sphere floated above the floor. Lines of light moved across its surface like shifting rivers dot the device. Lyra whispered, This is what they wanted to turn into a weapon. Evan looked at it carefully. It doesn't look dangerous. It isn't, she said softly. Not until someone tries to misuse it. Evan walked closer. What does it do? Lyra hesitated, then answered, It wakes potential inside the one who touches it. It expands your mind, your instincts, your awareness. You can see the hunter's movements before they act. You can sense danger before it reaches you. Evan stared at it, shocked. You mean, like a sixth sense? Lyra nodded. Yes. My people used it to survive the hunter's attacks for years. But Earth tried to weaponize it, and it shut down. Evan walked around the sphere, watching the light flow like living veins. How do I activate it? Lyra's voice lowered. You already started. Evan blinked. What? When you touched my cuffs, she said softly, the energy inside them responded to your mind. It recognized you. Evan stepped forward and touched the sphere with one hand. A shockwave of silver light exploded outward like ripples on water. His heartbeat sped up. His vision blurred. For a moment, he saw strange symbols, circles, shapes he couldn't understand. Then he saw something else, a sky filled with fire. Metal creatures landing on Earth, humans running, screaming. A monster with glowing red eyes breaking the base in half. Evan gasped and stumbled back. Lyra grabbed his arms. What did you see? Evan looked at her, terrified. I saw them. The hunters, they're coming here, now. Lyra nodded sadly. You touched the device. Your mind is opening. Before Evan could speak again, the base above them roared like it was being ripped apart. A voice came through the speakers. All units, the alien ship has landed on the roof. They are breaking through. Lyra looked at Evan. We must leave. The hunters will reach this room first. Evan gripped his weapon tightly. Where do we go? Lyra closed her eyes, listening to the trembling vibrations of the base. Outside. To the crater. The device reacts strongest there. Evan nodded. Then the chamber doors behind them started to bend. Something heavy was hitting them. Hard. Lyra's eyes widened. They found us. Evan grabbed her hand. Then we run. Now. And they ran toward the only chance Earth had left. The tunnel shook as Evan and Lyra ran, the sound behind them growing louder, metal tearing. Doors collapsing, monstrous footsteps echoing like thunder. Whatever was chasing them wasn't human. It wasn't even close. They burst out of the maintenance corridor onto an outdoor loading deck on the lower side of the floating base. Cold wind cut across Evan's face. Smoke rose from the city far below. The night sky glowed red from explosions. Above them, the enormous hunter ship hovered like a dark moon, silent and terrifying. Its shape wasn't smooth like human-crafted, it was alive. Its outer shell moved like skin, shifting with every pulse of red light. Evan whispered, "How do we get down?" Lyra pointed to a maintenance lift on the edge of the deck. The metal was old, covered in rust and dust. That thing? Evan asked. Lyra nodded calmly. It still works. Old things remember old promises. He didn't understand her words, but he trusted her. That trust made no sense. Yet it felt natural. They stepped onto the lift. Evan hit the manual lever. The machine screamed loudly, then jerked into motion, lowering them to the surface far below. During the descent, the huge sky filled with burning debris from the base falling apart. Evan took a deep breath. What exactly do the hunters want from you? Lyra looked at the ground, growing closer. Her voice was soft. Not me. My memory. Evan frowned. Your memory. She nodded. My people placed everything we knew about the hunters inside my mind. Their weaknesses. Their movement patterns. Their history. Even their first war. Evan stared in disbelief. How can one person hold all that? Lyra smiled sadly. I am not fully human. He looked away, unsure how to respond. After a pause, Lyra added, You think I am dangerous. I understand. Sometimes. I fear myself too. Evan finally looked at her. Her glowing eyes weren't weapons. They were windows to someone lost, someone carrying too much. He spoke softly. I don't think you're dangerous. I think you're alone. Quira's expression shifted surprise. Then something gentler. Thank you, she whispered. Before she could say more, the lift hit the ground with a heavy crash. The shock shook both of them back to reality, below the base. The land stretched far, broken roads, rocks, abandoned structures. And in the middle of it, a massive crater. The one Lyra mentioned, Evan pointed. We go there, right? Lyra nodded. The device reacts strongly there. It will open completely when you touch it again. They ran toward the crater. The night wind whipped around them. Evan felt like something was watching them from the shadows. Halfway there, Evan suddenly stopped. Lyra, I need to know something. She turned. Breathing lightly, her hair glowing faintly in the darkness. What is it? He stepped closer. Why me? Why did your people choose me to activate the device? There are millions on this planet. Why choose a soldier who doesn't even understand your world? Lyra looked at him with a depth that made the air feel heavy. Because you are the one who survives. Evan shook his head. That doesn't answer. Lyra placed her hand gently on his chest, over his heart. I saw many futures. In every path. You lived long enough to save someone else. Even when everything burned, you stood up. Not because you are strong, but because you refuse to leave people behind. Evan felt his throat tighten. He had never heard anyone describe him like that. Lyra continued, "When my ship crashed near your world, I saw a vision. A man reaching out for me, pulling me from the fire." "That man was you," Evan whispered. "I never saved you." "Not yet," she said softly. "But you will." Before Evan could speak, the sky exploded with a loud screech. A huge hunter drone descended like a falling star, landing behind them with a heavy thud. Its body was tall, almost human-shaped, but covered in shifting red plates. Its face was a single glowing eye. Lyra grabbed Evan's arm. "They found us." The drone fired a beam of red energy. Evan pushed Lyra aside just in time. The ground melted where they stood moments before. Evan raised his weapon. "Run, Lyra." She shook her head. "No, you are chosen. They want you to now." The drone lunged. Evan fired several rounds. The bullets bounced off like pebbles. Lyra lifted her hand, and a pulse of silver energy hit the drone, pushing it back a few steps. Her power flickered weak, unstable. "They made me run too long," she whispered. "I don't have much energy left." Evan stood in front of her, shielding her. The drone aimed its beam at them again, and then the device in Evan's pocket glowed brightly. A silver wave exploded from him, forming a shield around them. The beam hit the shield and scattered. The drone stepped back, confused. Evan stared at his own hands, glowing softly. "Lyra, what's happening?" Lyra looked at him with tears in her silver eyes. "Evan, the device is choosing you." The drone screeched, calling others. Lyra grabbed Evan's hand tightly. "We must reach the crater. It is the only place where you can fully awaken it."
Evan nodded,
heart pounding. Together, they ran toward the crater. Toward destiny, while the hunters closed in behind them. Evan and Lyra sprinted across the cracked ground toward the massive crater. The night sky burned red behind them as more hunter drones descended like silent predators. Their footsteps echoed over the rocky earth, but the sound of the drones behind them was louder, cold, metallic, unstoppable. The crater looked ancient. Its edges were jagged, and the inside glowed faintly with silver light. As if something beneath the earth was whispering power, Lyra pointed toward the center. "Take the device there. It will answer you." Evan clutched the glowing sphere in his hand. Its heat pulsed through his skin, matching the rhythm of his heartbeat, but they didn't reach the center. A huge shadow dropped from the sky, blocking their path. Dust exploded upward as a large hunter brute landed tall as a tank, covered in armor that shifted like living metal. Its single red eye focused on Evan. Lyra gasped. "That one. That is an alpha hunter." Evan raised his weapon, but the alpha crushed it in one strike, snapping the gun like plastic dot. Evan stumbled backward. "How do we fight that?" Lyra stepped in front of him, even though her energy was fading. "We don't fight it. We survive it." The alpha charged. Its footsteps cracked the earth. Its claws scraped sparks off stone. Its roar shook the air. Lyra pushed Evan aside and raised her hands. Silver energy bloomed around her, but weak, flickering like a candle in the wind. The alpha slammed into her shield. The impact threw her backward into the dust. "Lyra!" Evan shouted, running to her. But the brute wasn't done. It lifted its claw. Aiming at her chest, Evan jumped in front of her without thinking. The claw came down. A flash of silver exploded from Evan's body. The device inside him released a wave of energy that blasted the alpha backward, sending it crashing into the crater wall. Lyra stared at Evan, stunned. "Evan, you used the device without touching the ground." It listens to your instincts. Evan looked at his trembling hands, glowing with silver lines now tracing his skin. I don't even know how I did that. Lyra touched his arm. Because you don't need to know. You only need to feel. Before they could move, the crater edge shook again. More hunters arrived, 3 drones and another brute approaching from behind. Evan stood, his breath heavy. Fear mixed with something new pulsing inside. Him determination. He reached for Lyra's hand and pulled her toward the crater's center. Tell me what to do. Lyra pointed to a circular platform at the bottom. Stand on that. The crater is the heart of the ancient network. It will connect your mind to the device fully. Evan stepped onto the platform. The ground lit up under him. Symbols glowed around his feet. Lyra watched, her voice soft but urgent. You must stay on the platform, no matter what happens. Evan nodded. He lifted the device. It rose into the air by itself. Light filled the crater, brighter and brighter, wrapping Evan in a cocoon of silver waves. His eyes widened. Images rushed into his mind. He saw the hunter's ship from above, where it was weakest. He saw the brute's next attack before it moved. He saw the drones circling around, trying to flank him. Time felt slower. The world felt clearer. His fear melted away. Lyra whispered, almost in awe, "It's bonding with you." Evan opened his eyes. They were glowing with silver light. The alpha hunter roared and leaped at him again. Evan didn't move. He simply lifted one hand. A silver barrier snapped into existence, stronger than before. The alpha hit it tanned, the force sent shockwaves through the crater. The drones opened fire. Evan swept his hand sideways. A wave of energy knocked them out of the sky like falling metal birds. Lyra stepped closer, amazement in her voice. Evan, the device is giving you more than sight. It's giving you control of the battlefield. Evan breathed deeply, steadying himself. But then the light around him flickered. Lyra's smile faded. Evan, your energy is draining. You are human. You cannot hold this state long. Okay? Nodded. Then we finish this fast. The alpha hunter rose again. It charged with a roar that shook the crater walls. This time, Evan met it head-on. He slid under its strike, grabbed its arm, and released a shockwave that shattered the brute's armor. The monster collapsed, defeated, but Evan stumbled. His vision blurred. Lyra rushed to him. You pushed too hard. Evan wiped the blood from his lip. I'm fine. I can still fight. Lyra shook her head. No, this is just the beginning. The device awakened you, but it did not complete the link. Evan looked at her through fading light. What do we do now? Lyra turned toward the sky where the main hunter ship hovered closer. Her eyes glowed. We go to the ship. You must shut it down from the inside. Evan stared at the monstrous vessel. Then he nodded. Then we end this. The sky above the crater boiled with red light as the hunter ship descended lower. Its underside opened like the jaws of a giant creature made of metal and darkness. Streams of red energy flickered across its armor. Preparing for a final strike on Earth, Evan stood at the crater edge, breathing heavily. The silver glow around him faded slowly, leaving exhaustion behind. His body felt heavier than stone. But his eyes, those glowing silver eyes, were sharp. Lyra came beside him, her steps unsteady. The wind pushed her white hair across her face as she looked up at the ship. This is your moment, Evan, she whispered. The hunters will stop at nothing until the device inside you is destroyed. Evan clenched his fists. Then we give them something they don't expect. Lyra placed her trembling hand on his chest. Your strength is not enough alone. I must connect with you. Only then will the device reach its full power. Evan hesitated. Will it hurt you? Lyra gave a faint smile. Everything until now has hurt me. This might save us." She placed both her hands gently on Evan's temples. Instantly, a silver bridge of light connected their minds. Evan gasped as a flood of memories rushed in images of Lyra's world. Green skies, silver oceans, tall, shining cities. Then fire, destruction, hunters tearing through her people. Lyra shivered. Her voice echoed inside his mind, soft but certain. "Now you understand why I ran." Evan swallowed. "And why you fight." The ground shook violently. Metal claws unfolded from the ship as a massive hunter commander dropped down, landing in front of them with a crash that split the ground. It was bigger than anything Evan had seen, standing taller than a tank. With shifting red armor and multiple glowing eyes that moved independently like scanning lasers. Its voice boomed, like thunder mixed with machine noise. "Surrender the seer. Eliminate the chosen host." Lyra stepped behind Evan. "He will not surrender," she whispered. Evan raised his hand, silver light rising from his palm. "Come take us then." The hunter commander roared and charged. Evan felt Lyra's energy merge with his. Silver lightning erupted around his body, forming a shield. The commander struck the shield, but this time Evan didn't fall. He pushed back. A shockwave burst outward. The commander slid across the ground. Carving long trenches in the dirt, Evan stepped forward, glowing brighter with each breath. Lyra's voice guided him. "Focus your thoughts. See the fight before it happens." Images flashed in Evan's mind: a punch, a claw strike, a jump, a trap. He moved before the commander even acted. He ducked under a massive swing. He flipped backward over a claw. He slammed his glowing palm into the creature's chest. Red armor cracked. The monster staggered, but the link between Evan and Lyra began to strain. Her energy flickered. Evan felt her weakness spreading into him. "Lyra, stop." "You're hurting." Lyra held his arm tightly. "I'm giving you my last strength. Do not waste it." The commander roared again and raised both arms to strike. Evan inhaled deeply. Then he ran straight toward it. He and the commander collided in a blast of red and silver light. Evan felt the world shake beneath him as he pushed. The creature back with everything he had. Silver lines spread across the monster's armor. The device inside Evan pulsed. Lyra whispered one final command. "Break it." Evan lifted his hand high and slammed it down with all the awakened power inside him. A blinding silver explosion erupted. The commander shattered, its armor breaking into red dust that blew across the crater like ashes. Silence filled the air. Evan collapsed to one knee, gasping for breath. The glow around him faded to almost nothing. He turned quickly. Lyra. She stood weakly, her eyes dimmer than before. The connection between them was almost gone. She whispered, "You did it. Evan, you broke the hunter core. Their ship is blind now." Above them, the giant ship flickered. Its lights turned from red to black. Alarms echoed inside it as it began to lose balance in the sky. Evan supported Lyra as the ship crashed behind the hills in a storm of fire. Lyra leaned against him, exhausted. "Evan," her voice trembled. "I saw your future again." He held her closer. "And?" Lyra looked into his eyes. She had seen in her visions the eyes that changed everything. "In every future, you save me." Evan nodded, squeezing her cold hand. "And in every future, I choose you." The sky slowly brightened as the hunter thread ended. Soldiers emerged from hiding. The world breathed again. Lyra rested her head on Evan's shoulder. Earth had been minutes away from extinction. One soldier changed it. One alien guided him. Together, they rewrote fate. Evan whispered into the quiet wind, "You were sent here to die. But you lived to save the universe." Lyra smiled softly. "No, Evan, we saved it." And the story closed, not with death, but with a bond that was never meant to happen, yet saved humanity itself.